Hello, everybody, and welcome to Lyric Satiric. This is a podcast. This is episode one of the podcast, where both me and Rich, I'm Joe, and we take songs and dissect them, break them down, going into the lyrics and the meaning behind the lyrics of popular songs that you may or may not have heard. And yeah, going from there. Did I explain that in a way that makes sense, or am I just rambling?
I think you did. I'm excited. This is a fun concept. I'm down with this. Yeah, I think this is gonna be good fun.
So, for the first episode, I wanted to do "The Boys Are Back in Town" by Thin Lizzy.
Yeah.
I was listening to it on a CD in the car. It was on a road trip, and I just had one of those moments where it's like, I'm really going to listen to the lyrics of this song. And I listened to the lyrics and I went, oh my, there is some interesting stuff in this song. And I just came up with the thought of it would be really nice to have a podcast where you dissect lyrics and go into the meaning of it, taking at face value, and and then looking into what the artist originally thought of. And I thought of you, Rich. We've worked before doing film work together, and we've also done some other bits and pieces together. And
you
then
were on the Excurse with me as a guest before. Yeah, we've been around.
Yeah. So I knew of you in the podcast circuit, as it were, and thought it'd be a really good way to put our two heads together and see what we come up with, basically.
Definitely, I'm excited for this as a concept. Huge Thin Lizzy fan as well, so great song to kick us off with. Yeah.
Fantastic. I had no idea as well, so this has worked out very well.
Yeah, though, we were saying before the show, like, it's a different kind of listening. So I've never looked into the background of this song or the history of this song. It's going to be fun finding out as we go. Like you said, we'll kind of go with our first impressions first of what the song just says lyrically and what that tells us. Yeah, it's a really fun concept. I'm excited.
So, The Boys Are Back in Town was released in 1976 as part of the album Jailbreak. They originally weren't even intending for the song to be on the album, but studio heads were like, oh no, there's something to that. We've got to put that on the album. And then it was a breakaway hit.
I was going to say
one of the biggest hits they ever had. And as time has gone on, it's continued to have radio play and be featured in various advertisements and films. We'll get onto that a little bit later. But yeah, the Irish rock band Thin Lizzy, and yeah, let's get into the lyrics a little bit, because this is really what made me sort of sit up and go, what?
There's a podcast in this.
Obviously, if you, the listener, has not heard this song, take a break now, go and listen to the song quickly. It's very easy to find on all your streaming services or on YouTube or whatever, and you should be able to listen to it, or a live version of it. So take that break now, and you're back.
Excellent.
Obviously, for the people who have already heard it and don't need to listen to it, you were with us all along.
You were already here, yeah. So, guess who just got back today?
Correct. First line. So, yeah, not much to say from that. It's obviously, it's the song. The context of the song is a conversation between a couple of people. So, guess who just got back today? Them wild-eyed boys that had been away. Haven't changed, had much to say, but man, I still think them cats are crazy.
It's interesting to me because, like, when I think of wide-eyed, I think of innocent.
It's wild-eyed.
Oh, it is wild-eyed. I've got the lyrics in front of me, and I failed to read that correctly. That's fantastic.
No, that's going to be a misheard lyrics.
Well, it obviously always been a misheard lyric for me. I've literally got it in front of me, and I didn't see that. Yes.
I've had the exact same thing. I thought it would be because that's a more common saying, wide-eyed.
Yeah, it is, isn't it? Wild-eyed is not. I think my brain just corrected that.
Yeah, but that's interesting. It felt like wild-eyed, like
they sound insane.
Yeah, it sounds a little bit like okay. It's like, and he's even saying, "I think these cats are crazy." Now that's quite a hey man, these cats are crazy. It's a bit of I assume a local colloquialism, but more of an American one, considering this is an Irish band technically, but they're very Americanized, I would say.
Yeah, they are. They are quite Americanized. So they were asking if you were around.
Yeah, yeah, how you was, where you could be found. I told them you were living downtown, driving all the old men crazy. So it's like, presumably a guy talking to a woman and saying that these boys have just gotten back in town. They're wild-eyed. They
And
haven't really
immediately
changed.
asking after
They're
you.
really crazy, and they're asking after you specifically.
Mm,
And it's just like, oh, okay, like that's
it's
a bit full on, but sure.
it's mildly
Uh,
terrifying, to be honest.
it is, and I don't know if I told them you were living downtown, driving all the old men crazy, if that's accurate, or
Mm.
if that's the story he told them to put them off the scent.
Yeah, it kind of sounds like maybe it's like, yeah, I told them you were downtown and you've got loads of guys after you, so don't bother going downtown after her. Like,
Yeah, yeah.
she's fine. She doesn't need you crazy-eyed people.
Uh,
Yeah, I don't know.
the chorus just breaks down into the boys are back in town, the boys are back in town,
Yeah.
ad infinitum, repeat.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and then it's, that chick that used to dance a lot. Every night she'd be on the floor shaking what she's got. Man, when I tell you she was cool, she was red hot. I mean, she was steaming.
So now I kind of feel like this has now switched characters.
I agree. I agree. This sounds like what the boys
One of the
are
gang.
talking about.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's
Presumably the same girl. I'm assuming.
Yeah, that's what I assume. I assume that the boys, when they were in town, they took a liking to this girl who was great at dancing and she was really hot.
Yeah.
And that now they're back in town asking where she's at because they remember how hot she was.
Sure. Yeah.
And this person is warning them. And then it's like, and that time over at Johnny's place, Willis chick got up and she slapped Johnny's face. Man, we fell about the place. If that chick don't want to know, forget her. It's like, hang on a minute.
Yeah. Again, it kind of like it kind of starts. Each verse almost starts innocently, and then it just gets a little. Gets a bit sinister towards the end of each verse.
It's a little bit out of hand. It's like, what happened that made her get up and slap someone in the face?
Yeah.
But also, whatever it was, they clearly couldn't care less.
No, they thought it was funny.
They just thought it was funny.
Yeah.
It's like, and then it's like, if that just chick don't want to know, forget her. But clearly, and even the way it's sung in the song is an aggressive forget her. It's like, whoa, okay. It's like it takes a turn.
It really does. And like you said, that idea of like, if that chick don't want to know, forget her. But they didn't forget her, and now they're back on mass asking after her. Yeah, I don't know if it's intentionally this sinister, but that's the vibe I'm getting. It's kind of as we're reading this, it's like
100%. And then it goes into our repeated chorus. The boys are back in town. The boys are back in town. Spread the word around. Guess who's back in town? To spread the word around. Friday night they'll be dressed to kill.
So that bridge, the bridge to verse 3, spread the word around. Guess who's back in town? You spread the word around. Is that like a warning of like? That's
what it sounds like.
Let everyone know.
Yeah, make sure people know to like watch themselves because it just gets worse. Friday night they'll be dressed to kill. Down at Dino's Bar and Grill, the drink will flow and blood will spill. And if the boys want to fight, you better let them.
Yeah, like don't even interfere. Just don't get involved. They're gonna fight. Let them.
They're clearly gonna get completely drunk and start fighting until blood is spilt. And if they want to do it, you have to let them because you don't want to get involved in that.
Doesn't matter that it's your brother. Just let them fight because they've decided.
It screams such a huge warning of these terrifying people.
Yeah, and they're literally saying spread the word around. They're here. They know. I'm guessing like Dino's Bar and Grill was where the gang hung out before they left.
Presumably, yeah.
I'm starting to wonder if they. I'm starting to wonder if they left for prison at this point. Like,
and this is that jukebox in the corner blasting out my favorite song. The nights are getting longer. It won't be long. Won't be long till summer comes. Now that the boys are here again, the boys are back in town. The boys are back in town. So on and so forth. Been hanging out down at Dino's. The boys are back in town again. And so it seems like every summer they get let out of prison or whatever is happening. and they come back and just cause absolute havoc. To me, it paints the picture of these like abusive, misogynistic, like crazed people who frequently come to town, like stalk this woman
Like
that
they're
is
on.
having to be warned they're back again, and then call and they get so hammered and
Mm,
always get like into fights that end up in bloodshed.
yeah, like they this particular group of thugs or crazy people maybe used to live here. They've moved away, but they return every summer for like a holiday or something to just cause
Yeah,
mayhem. And we have to warn this poor friend of ours who they're after. You know, like we'll just tell her that she's dating guys in downtown, and it's she's out
it's
of
like
she's out of here. Um,
yeah,
yeah, it does. Yeah, it reads really sinister, which is weird because you listen to a song and obviously it's a very catchy song, and I've even sung the lyrics in club nights and pubs before when I've been drunk. I've never really read them or thought about the meaning of them until right now, and it reads really sinister. It really
yeah.
does.
It's billed as this happy party kind of song. Yeah, the boy's back, woo! It seems
Yeah,
really upbeat, and you can imagine it
but
playing in so many clubs, and it is used. I mean,
it's
the
used as a
song's in,
return song. Like it's like it's used as like a triumphant return. The
yeah.
boys are back in town. Like you see it like political rallies and things like that. They'll always be like, "Oh, the boys are back in town," and but the
The song's
connotations are
used in
not
Toy
good.
Story.
Yes, yeah,
It's like, hang on a minute, this is a Toy Story, and in the context of the film, it's kind of about a bunch of toys who are back in town, yay! And it's like, wait a
it's
minute,
like
listen to the lyrics.
I get it. They're literal. The toys are literally back in town, but I don't think that fits with the lyrics of
No,
this song. Unless the toys are kicking the shit out of someone in a bar and
yeah,
chasing after this poor girl, I don't think it really fits. I do think it gets way sinister with verse 2. That change of perspective
yeah,
when it's clearly now we're the gang talking. It's the gang talking about the girl. The girl who clearly from verse 1 not interested.
that's the
Like
impression I get as well.
her
Yeah,
friend is covering for her
oh,
and saying, "Hey, she's downtown. She's living downtown now. She doesn't even live here now. She lives downtown, and
and
she's
I
got
mean,
plenty of guys. Leave her alone."
you could take that first one at face value and say, I told them you were living downtown because you are, driving all the old
Sure.
men crazy because you're beautiful. And the old men go like, oh, wow, she's so beautiful. So you could take that at face value.
Mm. But then verse
But
2.
but then it's like the verse 2 shows that they well, clearly look at her just upon her physicality.
Oh, she's an
Um,
object for sure.
yeah, and then
And
it stopped.
it's the language as well. Like every night she'd be on the floor shaking what she's got. It's like she's just dancing,
Yeah,
and you're just
to them it's like an object of lust,
yeah,
and then it's
exactly.
like
They're just lusting after her on the dance floor.
and something that offended her so much that she slapped someone in the face. They thought it was hilarious. Ah, what a sensitive chick! And it's just like, and it's the if that chick don't want to know, forget her. It's like, whoa, just calm
Yeah,
down there, son. That's terrifying.
it is
That
quite
is
terrifying.
red
Yeah.
flag territory. Yeah. So yeah, proper sinister as a song, as like this warning of these crazed guys. Um, and even at face value, it comes across in that way.
I just
Uh,
noticed as well that it says that time over at Johnny's place. So she slapped
mm,
Johnny at Johnny's place, which is interesting. It's not at Dino's Bar and Grill. So that was actually at Johnny's place that she slapped him. So
yeah,
maybe
so
they dated or something, like, and he just went.
maybe or it
It was
was
like
come back
house
to my place
party, come
after the thing.
over.
Yeah, that kind
Yeah.
of thing. Again, hard to know from the context. Um,
And
and yeah, just I was just listening to it in the car when I
mm,
brought up had the idea of doing this, and I was just like, yeah, this is a song that is used not only in Toy Story 1 but Toy Story 2. It's used in like Rick and Morty, Navy SEALs. It's in the game Saints Row. It's been on so many advertisements and things like that. and it is sung like really positively and happily in so many clubs and pubs all across the countries, and it's just like, how many people have actually listened to
Yeah,
this?
like reading the lyrics, it's misused all the time. I've never known
Horrifically.
how misused it was until now, to be honest. Yeah, it really doesn't fit the context of Toy Story at all. Um, it's weird how you can just sing the lyrics to something all your life, but never really think about the lyrics, and then when you think about
Yeah.
them, you're like, oh yeah, that's actually really inappropriate for most of the context that it's used in. Like,
Yeah, it was also used in commercials for Wrangler jeans, some credit card companies, and for Applebee's, the American diner chain, which is an
this
interesting
is
one.
quite a they see now they kind of market themselves as a wholesome family
Yeah.
diner, right? Um, I wouldn't want these guys, these wild-eyed boys, going to my diner.
Mm.
Um, yeah,
So
and again, Wrangler, I get like they're like much like Levi, they've got that kind of outlaw style, but even so,
yeah, yeah.
even so,
There's outlaw and there's sexual harassment. You
yeah,
know, it's,
totally, totally.
but that kind of comes to the supposed intention of the song,
Oh, okay, yeah.
uh, which Thin Lizzy apparently wrote it sort of partially to do with themselves. Like often, Thin Lizzy, whilst on tour, a lot of their roadies were chosen based upon whether they could throw a punch. They got drunk a lot. They would go out and party a lot. It they would end up in fights in bars, and
So they wanted
uh,
backup, basically.
yeah, pretty much. And so the song is partially due to that, apparently,
Okay.
and it's apparently they wanted to make it a very working class sort of song and a way of connecting with their fans who had similar sensibilities, is apparently what it says,
Hmm.
which sounds very worrisome when you read the lyrics. But in Manchester, which is where Phil Lynott spent a lot of his younger days,
Yeah.
his mother ran a club
Oh,
called
okay.
called the Showbiz.
So he's probably
Uh,
exposed to a lot of this kind of behavior early on in life.
Well, there was an organized crime enterprise called the Quality Street Gang
I
in
thought you were going to
Manchester.
say called the Wild Eyed Boys.
That would have been a little bit too obvious, I think. But yeah, apparently the Quality Street Gang, who were like a
They
mafia like
sound adorable.
organization.
The
I
Quality
know,
Street
right?
Gang. They sound great. I'm assuming they
Uh,
weren't.
no, apparently they would always hang out at the showbiz,
Okay.
and were always dressed to kill because
Ah.
they had a lot of high fashion sense. This sort of like sort of 60s 70s mafia criminals kind of
Yeah.
thing. Um and a key member of the gang apparently was Jimmy the Weed Donnelly, who is the subject of one of the songs on Thin Lizzy's next album called Johnny the Fox Meets Jimmy the Weed.
Uh huh.
So based on a real criminal.
I didn't know that either. So there we go.
uh However, other people have also said that it's about American troops coming back from the Vietnam War, um, and that Phil wanted something that sounded much more American as one of their songs, and so that's why he wrote about the Vietnam War and about American troops coming back to Dino's Bar and Grill and that kind of thing. So
Yeah, I
that
mean it's interesting because you rightly pointed out earlier when you look at the lyrics, they are kind of written American. Um,
very much so.
because it's written with colloquialisms and abbreviations as well. Like people are just talking, and the words they use are kind of more American. You're right.
Yeah, and even the abbreviations, you better let them. That's a very Americanized. We just say just let them or
Yeah.
something like that. It doesn't scan in the same way.
Mm,
But apparently, a lot of cadets, when they come back from summer break in America, they are termed as the boys.
sure. Sure.
So it fits with that kind of thing of the Vietnam War and soldiers kind of sort of coming back from that kind of thing as
You know,
well.
though, I gotta say, if this relates to a group of guys that went to the Vietnam War,
Hmm.
if they were wild-eyed, they went to the Vietnam War, and the Vietnam War hasn't changed them,
Yeah,
that's terrifying.
it is. It is. I think the idea is that that it
Like,
hasn't changed them since they've been cadets. Like they've been because they would have come from all around
yeah,
and then
yeah,
been
yeah.
in that company, and this is like a bar that's off base. Some
Hmm.
people say it could be a bar or a motorcycle club.
Yeah,
So I can imagine there being a motorcycle club nearby an American base where they've all done their training. All the cadets in their training being taught that the enemy aren't human, and
sure.
a lot of that Vietnam War training was dehumanizing the enemy and turning soldiers into killing machines, basically.
So then,
Uh,
are we suggesting that the chick is actually Vietnamese and that it's actually a local?
I wouldn't have. I thought this would be in
Did
America,
they've come
and this
back to America post-war? Yeah,
yes,
yeah, okay.
but they're just as wild-eyed
Yeah,
as
just
when
as
they were
crazy
being told
as
to kill.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah. Interesting.
but given the band are from Manchester, and his mother had a nightclub where there was a known criminal element that would go there, that sounds more likely, and that
Yeah,
it is probably that they were in and out of prison, and oh, they're back, brilliant.
yeah,
They've
yeah.
served their sentence, and now they're back to cause more trouble.
And of course, if any of them are still around, probably best if we change the story slightly so it's not like directly about them.
Ooh.
Although I guess he did ultimately go on to do something pretty direct, I guess, from the sound of it. But
Yeah, but I mean that's after the success of the
after,
first album,
yeah,
where they probably felt a little bit of maybe felt that they were a bit more bulletproof after that because they were being
sure.
backed by fairly major record labels and being touring all over the place.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if they actually ended up moving to America. They may well have done, in which case they probably felt like they were okay at that stage, you know.
Mm.
But
So
yeah,
there was a big controversy that surrounded it as well, which makes it even stranger. So in 2012, there was a Republican National Convention, and
okay.
the song was used to introduce the vice presidential candidate Paul Ryan onto the stage.
That's see again, like political rally. What are you doing? Read the lyrics.
The use of the song was completely unauthorized, and Phil Lynot's mother and the Thin Lizzy lead guitarist
Yeah,
suggested that he wouldn't have approved of his music being used for political purpose or endorsing politicians or anything like that. Um, and also, Phil Lynott and the band completely object to the policies of the
yeah.
vice presidential candidate Paul Ryan and his running mate, which was Mitt Romney.
Oh my god.
Yeah, it's just like what? It's just such, and then you look at the lyrics and how in a way it's potentially glorifying criminals, and it's like
Yeah.
this is so inappropriate.
The thing is, though, I don't even necessarily expect, a senator or someone running for prime minister or president. I don't even necessarily expect them to have read the lyrics and just see it as a song. But surely someone on your staff, surely your PR department would read the lyrics and be like, no, I don't think it's a good idea. Actually, have you read the lyrics and do you actually know what it sounds like? Because this is not a good look. You
Yeah,
know, it's
it
not a good look.
paints a bad picture of whoever you're trying to big up by putting this song on, and rather it sounding like, I suppose so many people take it at the face value of, oh, there are boys and they like partying and they're back and that's all they do it as. It's
Yeah.
like
Well, it's just to them, to most people, and I always took it until now that it's like a celebration. Hey, the boys are back. You know, it's a good thing. Whereas when you read it, it reads more like a warning. Like spread the word around, they're back. You know.
it's like Virgin Cruises using "like a virgin" on their advert.
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
Like you've not understood the meanings behind this song, no matter how you take it.
No, no, you have definitely not read the lyrics to that one.
Yeah, especially if you watched Reservoir Dogs.
Oh yeah.
Right. That's
Interesting.
really, I think, is enough for
Yeah,
us
I
to
think
delve into that madness.
we have episode 1 in the bag. Yes, Thin Lizzy. I can highly recommend the entire Jailbreak album quite happily. So
Yeah.
if you want to go grab it or listen to it on a streaming service, I highly recommend that.
It was re-released in 1991, and I think they
Is that like
sort of
remastered or?
yeah, only slightly. I think it might have just been just a cleaning up of the original
Mm-hmm.
sound, and I think it's just like remixed kind of thing and remastered, and then they re-released it. And so, if you can find that version, it might be a slightly clearer recording from back in the day rather than the late '70s version. I'm sure
Yeah.
there are purists who say the opposite, but
Yeah, I guess it depends on your leaning, doesn't it? I'm kind of the same with film. I'm like, I don't want it cleaned up. I'm happy with it. I don't want it 4K. But yeah, well, I think this is a pretty fun first episode. I've enjoyed this,
yeah. So
and
thank you very much for listening to the first episode. If you want to continue to listen to the first episode and other podcasts as well, you can check it out on Durs Productions
indeed,
on YouTube and various streaming services.
yeah, Amazon Music, Apple Podcasts, everywhere, Spotify, all of the usual places. But yes, we will catch you next time.
See you next time, everybody.
Well, that's one done. I think that was pretty good, actually. I enjoyed that. I think that worked pretty well. It was